Hey, welcome to Knuckle Sandwich MMA. How you guys doing today? Well, I am getting ready to watch the fights tomorrow. It's going to be an interesting card. We've got some people that are not very well known, but people that we've seen um, come out really aggressive. And so there should be some really great fights on this card. Again, there's a lot of people that you probably uh, haven't heard of or aren't super familiar with because they're so new. However, we're going to cover the main card today. And but before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and mention the prelim card because we want to make sure that all of the fighters get a little bit of love and that they're recognized for being, fighting for the UFC. So here we go. We're going to start with the preliminary card, which you can see on ESPN Plus. We've got Bruno Silva versus Tagi Ulanbekov. We also have Tracy Cortez versus Stephanie Egger, Giga Chikazi versus Omar Morales, and Ali Al-Kasi versus Tony Kelly. Impa Casanagay versus Joaquin Buckley, and that one's going to be a good fight. That one's going to be a really good fight right there. We also have Chris Dacus versus Rodrigo Niscimento. And finally, to round out the preliminary card, we have Tom Breeze versus KB Bueller. Another good fight right there. So we have some great matchups, and these guys are going to come out, and they're really going to try to showcase their skills. I think there's going to be a lot of. I don't think there's going to be very many decisions on this card in particular. So let's move to the main card, and I want to talk to you a little bit about these guys. We always start from the bottom and work our way up to the main fight. And we're welcoming back Thomas Almeida, and it's good to see him fighting again. He's going to be fighting Alejandro Perez. And Alejandro, I believe, lost his last fight, but he's a tough competitor. He's been with the UFC for a while now, and he seems to be getting better. And he just had a really tough fight his last fight. This one is going to be, this is going to be a coin toss because both of them are really good fighters. I think Almeida is a little bit longer. In fact, let me pull up their stats here and see what they actually have. And their stats aren't coming up. So there you go. Well, that's odd. Okay. So anyway, but I think, Thomas Almeida is going to be a little bit longer, a little bit leaner. He has got the advantage on the ground. Perez will have to get inside to get his strikes off, but he's got some really good punches, and I think he can knock Almeida out. However, Almeida got a better ground game, and I think if he gets him on the ground, Perez is going to have to get up quickly and not stay on the ground and not accept being taken down like that. But I think that's the way he'll go. And Almeida's got some really good kicks. Perez, not so good. I mean, he can kick, but Almeida is definitely a little bit better on the kicks than Perez. So who am I picking on this one? Oh, my heart's with Perez because my name's Alejandro too. So, I like the name. It's a cool name. My heart's with Perez, but I think if Almeida brings his A game, I think he's probably going to win it. If Perez is able to get inside, I think he can knock Almeida out. But I'm going to lean towards Almeida on this one. And then we have a newcomer, a relative newcomer. His name is Tom Espinal, and he's going to be fighting a dude named Alan Baudot, I believe it's how you pronounce it. Aspinall is, I believe, from the UK, and he's a pretty rangy fighter. He's big. He's fast for a heavyweight. This is a heavyweight bout, and he's pretty quick. He's got some fast punches. In fact, I think his last 3 fights have been by first round knockout, I believe. And I saw his fight. In fact, I just reviewed his last fight in the UFC, which was his debut. And he knocked the guy out pretty quick. He had some great combos. and not afraid to mix it up. But he doesn't seem to stop punching. He's not one of these guys that throw one punch and then backs off and then resets and then throws a jab and a punch. He throws quite a few punches, and his last fight, he kneed the guy in his stomach with a really hard knee, and then followed up with a left and a right, and just knocked him out. It was pretty clean, very, very nice. So I'm gonna pick Tom Aspinall to win this fight. I think I don't think it's going to go the distance. He's got a lot of power. He's a big dude. Alan Badeau. He's got his work cut out for him. So I don't know much about Alan, so I can't comment too much on them. I don't try to, I don't make stuff up. If I don't know, I don't know. But I think Tom Aspinall is going to take this one for sure. And then we're going to move up to Marcus Perez in a middleweight bout with Dricus and Duplessis. And this one is also going to be, I think it's going to be a pretty action-packed fight. I'm not familiar with Marcus Perez that much. Again, there's a lot of newcomers on this card, and so when they're that new and they have more fights outside of the UFC than in the UFC, it's kind of hard to see, if they're more regional fighters, those kinds of fights, to find out what they do and how they do it. So it's going to be an interesting fight. And I am getting some stats on these guys. Let's see. So Perez is from Brazil, and Plessis is from South Africa. They're both pretty comparable in reach, weight, and leg reach. I mean, should be a good fight. It looks like Perez has more decisions, I should say, not submissions, decisions. And yeah, so it's just going to be they're new. They're new. So let's see what they bring to the table. Okay, next we got Big Ben Rothwell. And he is a big dude. This is also a heavyweight belt. And he's fighting Marcin Tybura. And Marcin was cut a while ago, and then they brought him back, and he's been winning ever since he came back. So he really wants to be in the UFC. Ben Rothwell is a big hitter, and both of them are big guys. They have a lot of Ben Rothwell, his KO, he's at 74% on KOs and TKOs, whereas Tiberian is 37%. So there's a big difference as far as the striking goes. But he does have a little bit more. Tiberian has a little bit more of a submission, 32% to 16%. But Rothwell is a puncher. That's what he does. He's not going to take you and submit you or try and get you an arm bar. He will if it's available, but the ground game for Tybura is a lot more well-rounded than Rothwell. But if Rothwell hits you, he's going to knock you out. And so I'm going to lean towards Rothwell on this one. I think he's going to knock out. I don't think it's going to go to decision. I think he's going to knock out Marcin, and we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Now we're coming to the two main fights of the card. We have Etson Barbosa, who's one of my favorite fighters. I really love to watch Etson. He's an action fighter, no doubt, and one of the fiercest kickers in MMA, in my opinion. And he's fighting Marwan Amirkhani at featherweight belt. Now, Marwan Amirkhani, he was a fill-in, I believe. I think somebody fell out with Etson, and he filled in. Now he's not ranked, I should say. Etson is at number 14. He's fallen a bit because he's lost a few fights, and he's getting kind of chinny. I have to admit, he's getting to where he can be knocked out. Where back in the day, he was a beast. He still is a beast, but he can get knocked out. Now, Amirkhani, he has got a pretty good ground game. His striking is not to Etson's level, but he's a really good grappler, and he's very, very good on the ground. Etson's no slouch on the ground either. He's got great jiu-jitsu, but he prefers to stand and bang. And I think if he can keep it standing, this is Etson's fight. I'm definitely favoring Etson Barbosa in this fight. Amir Khani, I really love his style as well. And he's just a great grappler. But I think that if it goes to the ground, then it's kind of a toss-up as far as who's going to win this bout. But and even on the fence though, because Etson has some big knees. If he pins Makwan against the fence, he's going to throw some damage. He's got some mean elbows too. So I think if it goes to the ground, that's kind of a toss-up on who's going to win this fight. But if it stays standing, Etson Barbosa is going to submit or a TKO or knockout Amir Khani. That's my prediction there. Now let's move to the main fight, and that is Marlon Moraes at bantamweight versus Corey Sandhagen. Now, he's the Marlon Moraes is the #1 contender, and Corey Sandhagen is #4. Now, Corey Sandhagen did take a beating from Aljamain Sterling, Eljo, and it really wasn't even a competition. Eljo looked spectacular. He looked stellar in that fight. And Corey Sandhagen, after reading an article about him, he did mention that he was a little, he's not making any excuses. He just said he had trouble, his body trying to follow what his mind wanted it to do anyway, but it showed. And so he wants to come back with a vengeance. Now he's coming up against a guy that knocked out Aljamain Sterling, Marlon Moraes. He knocked him out cold. So you look at, okay, Eljo beat Sandhagen, and Marlon beat Eljo. And so Sandhagen is like jumping 2 slots to fight Moraes. Now, I just rewatched also Moraes fight Cejudo. And he has a gas tank problem, in my opinion. I think even by the end of the first round in the Cejudo fight, he was throwing some great, very accurate strikes. He was lighting up Cejudo. There's no doubt about it. Especially those leg kicks were just brutal. He was just working him over, and I thought, oh man, Cejudo's going to be out of here. I've seen the fight before, but I'm just reflecting, and but he was lighting him up with those kicks. But then you could see towards the end of the first round, he started to throw less kicks. He was throwing a lot of high kicks, missing, and I think when you miss, whether it's a punch or a kick and you miss, it drains the gas tank a little bit. And he missed a lot of head kicks, and he kept trying to do that, kept going to the well and doing those head kicks. And I think that kind of drained him. But by the end of the first round, he was already, you could slow him down, and the kicks were becoming less and less. And Henry saw that. And then by the second round, Henry started lighting him up, and he started getting those really, really good strikes in, and knees. He got him in a in a clinch and with a plum, and pulled his head down, and just dropping some serious knees on Marlon Moraes' face and head. And that took a lot of his gas tank as well. And he was just, got to the point where he was just kind of in survival mode. And then Henry just kind of took control of the fight and eventually knocked him out. I believe it was in the third round. A TKO, the ref got in and stopped the fight because he was just, I think he was more out of gas than beat up, to be honest with you. Because it looked like in that round, he kind of just said, I got to sit down, man. He fell to the ground, and it wasn't necessarily from a hit that took him to the ground. He just kind of just collapsed because he was just exhausted. Now, so Corey Sandhagen, on the other hand, he's got a great gas tank, very, very good cardio. Moraes has a lot more muscle to carry. Sandhagen is a lot leaner, but he does have better cardio. I suspect that Moraes is going to try and take him out in the first or second round. So that means he's going to bring a lot of heat early on, which he can take out Corey Sandhagen. He can take him out. If Sandhagen brings the game, and not the game that he brought to the Eljo fight, but if he brings the game that we all know him for, because he's an excellent fighter, scary fighter, I think he's going to take Moraes to the ground. And again, it's one of those, it's styles make fights. And it's one of those fights where if it's on the ground, I'm going to give it to Sandhagen all day long, okay? Bar none. if it keeps stays on the feet and goes only 2 or 3 rounds. This is a 5-round bout, by the way. If it goes only 2 or 3 rounds, I'm going to give it to Moraes all day long because I think his striking he's a really powerful puncher, very, very accurate. And let's see what their stats are because I want to know what the reach is. So Sandhagen got a 3-inch reach over Moraes, and he's got a 3-inch leg reach as well on Moraes. So yeah, there's quite a height difference too. Sandhagen is 5'11", and Moraes is 5'6". But Moraes can throw kicks from anywhere, dude. I mean, whether Sandhagen is 5'11" or 7 feet tall, Moraes can kick that head. He's got great kicks, and he can punish the legs. He's like Etson Barbosa. He can punish your legs, man. And those low calf kicks cause a lot of damage. If he can land some of those early in the fight and slow Sandhagen down, then Sandhagen will have to go to the ground. So we'll see what happens. But that one's going to be a good fight. I think it's a really, really good matchup. I think it's going to be very action-packed there because they both have something to prove, you know. And I believe that Dana White said that the winner of this will be fighting the winner of Jan and Aljamain Sterling. I don't think they booked that fight yet, and that's weird. That's really weird because Moraes is saying he's the number one, or the UFC website is saying he's the number one contender. Where's Eljo? He's number 2. I don't know. I don't know about that. Is it number 2 because Moraes knocked out Eljo? Maybe, but to me, Eljo should be number 1 for sure. But we'll see what happens. If they have not booked that fight, or they're not talking about, you know, actually signing contracts, one of these guys may jump poor Eljo again, and I just think that'd be kind of a travesty. You know, I think he's earned a title shot, and I don't know what the holdup is. I think the holdup, from what I read, is on Jan's part. But we'll see what happens. But I think this is going to be a great fight, and they both want to get. I think if they show a stellar performance, then they're going to be real close to fighting for that title. If not the next fight, then the fight after that for sure. So one of these guys will be the next contender. I think after Eljo. I'm hoping after Eljo. He deserves that fight with Petr Yan. So there you go, guys. That's my take on it. Again, you know, if it goes to the ground, I'm going to give it to Sandhagen. If it stays on the feet and ends early, if it goes into the later rounds, Sandhagen should be able to beat Moraes because of his gas tank issues. He throws a lot of power and he burns a lot of fuel. So that's my prediction. And enjoy the fight. I'll have a post-fight on Sunday, and we'll see what happens. All right, we'll see how accurate we are. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the flip side. Remember, keep punching. Always keep punching.